Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Zambezi Belle podcast. Today, we have an amazing guest. Our guest is Dr. Tabitha Mpamira, and she is here with us. For those who used to follow the podcast during the pandemic, she was a guest on the podcast, and there are two people specifically that texted and said, "Hey, can you have her back on the podcast?" This one is for you. She's here. So, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Dr. Praise. Thank you for having me back. We were just saying this seems more fun than it is. I don't know, educational, so it's all the things, but I'm excited to be back in space with you.
Yay. Well, let's start with a word of prayer and then we will carry on.
Let's do it.
Let's pray. Our gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity for us to come together to just talk as friends and just discuss things about life. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your care. Thank you for the gift of life. Please help this conversation for every single person who will be listening to this conversation to be touched in some way, to come out of this conversation changed in some way. Thank you for your love. Thank you for everything that you do for us. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So just tell us a little bit about yourself, just who's Tabitha, kind of how did you end up coming to the States and all that, and then we'll take it from there because I'm sitting in here as someone who just needs to get a little trauma therapy. So we're going to get into all that, but give us a little intro.
All right. In the therapeutic space, it'll be unusual to be talking about myself. So I'll try to keep it short so I can get into it. I'm Tabitha Mpamira. So I came to the US at 14 years old, 3 sisters and a brother. And that's how I got into praise. We were all in the same community, same church, and all the things, all immigrants, I think we connect on identity crisis, fitting into different cultures, one culture at home, one culture out there. Grew up in an Adventist home. Those are all different. Probably these themes will show up in how we talk about trauma too, right? Currently, a mother of 3 with a chosen son, an extra chosen son, so 4, but he's grown now. Live in Michigan still. Everybody found a way out, but somehow it keeps pulling me back. So I'm still in Michigan area, and my work is in clinical psychology. But my full-time job is mom, and that's the most humbling and the hardest one of them all. And so that's just kind of all the roles and the ways I'm gonna show up today.
And that's the thing, because the most humbling job, just today, my daughter clocked me. If you don't know what clocking is, find out from your younger, your children, and they will tell you. So I was clocked today.
I feel like you need to give us more.
So, and that's the thing, right? Because I'm like, whenever I hear this lingo, I always find a way to use it. And a lot of times I'm using it wrongly. But when someone puts you in your place, yeah. So, yeah, that's basically kind of what clocking is. Yeah, you have been clocked.
I learned another one. They usually give me a little kudos, like, "Wow, mom, you used it the correct way. Good for you."
And that's the thing, right? Because it's like when you have kids as they're growing up and they call you out on something that they're right.
Mhm.
Is that part?
Yes. And usually it's a mirror and a part of yourself, or
Yes.
something that you told them not to do that you're doing, or they're doing something that is just exactly like you, and you don't like it.
Nope.
You can see it.
Mm.
They awaken every part of us.
They sure do. They sure do.
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit about your journey to becoming a clinical psychologist.
Aha. Okay, we're jumping right in. Love it.
We don't play
We do not
in
have
the pod chair.
for weather conversations. So I tell everybody new people I'm meeting, I'm like, if we can talk about trauma, like, what's the point of even starting a conversation? Like, what's the point
Exactly.
of a friendship if we're not going
No.
in, all in, or
Mm-mm.
nothing at all? So how I got to do this, and this is, I was in 10th grade when we had just moved here, and I was taking an AP class because US education. We got here, we're like, what? How is this 10th grade work? We did this in elementary school. So we were, I took an AP Psych class, and the teacher framed it as the healing of the mind.
Mm.
I had never heard of psychology. I didn't know what that was. And that just stuck with me that moment. I'm like, that's what I want to do. I don't know what it is yet. It was day one because I'm Rwandan. We had a genocide, for those who are not familiar, against the Tutsi. Over a million people killed in a span of a month. So much trauma, but everybody went within.
Mm-hmm.
And most of us as Rwandans, we consider it cultural, but most people are so closed up.
Mm-hmm.
Pain, we don't talk about things that really matter. And I think most Africans, we all just kind of, you keep whatever the laundry is inside the house. So as he was talking about this, I'm like, I want to know what that is so I can go back and take it back to my people. That was my only why. And fast forward undergrad, I did clinical psychology, and all my research or lab experiences, I was going toward trauma,
Mm.
and specifically became more and more around sexual violence trauma. Um, then fast forward, I'm like loving this, still my thing. Did my master's, um, got out in what 2009. Oh my gosh,
Gosh, we're old, girl.
we are. And I'm like, okay, this is all I've done. I don't know how it really looks like in real life. So I'm going to go out and do it. So I moved back to Rwanda. My parents thought I was crazy and I didn't have a job or anything, but that's why I did psychology. I'm going back to help my people. And my first client in Rwanda, I was working at a nonprofit that helped women who had been, who survived the genocide, but had also been assaulted during that. And most of them had the babies from their perpetrators.
Mm.
Most of them were HIV positive.
Mm.
And my first client had a little one, and she tells me her whole horror story, a flat affect, disconnected to the whole thing. I mean, one of the worst war stories you could hear that I will not repeat. Has a little one, and she's telling me they're both HIV positive.
Mm.
They're on these heavy medications and haven't had anything to eat for 3 days. There's a superstition in Rwanda that if you tie a string on you around your belly, you don't feel hunger. So she lifts the baby's shirt to show me the string, and I just started bawling. I mean, full on crying. And internally, I'm like, oh God, I failed. Now I'm the therapist who cries, and the client is not even crying. This is not what they taught me. But for the life of me, there's nothing in any textbook
Mm-hmm.
that says anything on how do you show up for something like this.
No.
And the Western world tells you to distance yourself from the person you're seeing. Ethically, you can't even like give them food. All the things that I was taught in the US did not apply to this
Mm-mm.
context. And I didn't know what to do but to be human. So I threw everything I learned out the window, and I went with this woman to the restaurant across the road, fed them and the child, bought groceries, sent them on their way. I'm like, there's no way she's coming back. I'm like,
Yeah.
I totally failed this. I'm like, I didn't have any tools. I didn't. And praise, she came back the following week. And this whole thing is new to them. The whole idea of talk therapy or healing through conversation. And she said, watching you cry about my pain was the first time it validated that what I went through was hard.
Mm.
Everybody who's around me either went through the same or worse.
Yeah.
All of
Yeah.
us are just surviving, and I
Yeah.
get the impact until I saw you cry. And feeding us also gave her more hope in humanity that she had lost, obviously, from experiencing all the things she's experienced. And so we were able to start again and again, and eventually we started doing the work. But the
Mm.
work wasn't in the technique; it
Yeah.
was showing up for the person. In that moment, made it clear for me that this is what I really want to do with my life.
Yeah.
Not only because of the impact it can have on somebody's life, but the power of culturally contextual therapy. Like when you meet someone where they are, where you understand their context,
Mhm.
is magic. And a
Wow.
lot of therapy and psychologists is usually white, Western trained people that dismiss who we are. Oh, not dismiss it intentionally, but they don't have that access.
Yeah.
Well, that confirmed for me that is I was truly called to do this work, and I've never looked back in different ways.
Wow. Yeah, that's hard because I am the surgeon that if I lose a patient, I will cry,
Yeah.
because I am human after all. And there is one thing that I have noticed in all my travels, doing work in Africa, doing work in South America, here in the States, that suffering is universal. It's a universal language. Kindness, like we were talking about earlier,
Yeah.
kindness and suffering are universal languages that everybody can understand. You don't have to speak the same language. And that's the thing, because in Rwanda is my favorite country. I'm an honorary Rwandese, by the way. And
Yes.
it is my favorite country in Africa. And I always look forward to going to Rwanda. But,
Same.
In um, Rwanda, you, you'll speak French also.
Mhm.
And like Togo, they are very heavy on French.
Mm.
And so, it's like when I'm in countries like that are French speaking, where I don't understand French. The one thing that I can understand is looking someone in their eyes and seeing
Mm.
that they're suffering, or
Mm.
being kind, because it's like you can be kind with just gestures.
Yes.
I remember I was the kind of kid growing up that if, let's say, someone was like overly nice or kind to me, I would always cry. Like, because to me, it was just always touching to my spirit that somebody is being kind.
Yeah.
I don't know why, because it's not like I grew up in a place that wasn't unkind.
Mm. That's the language of God. That's spirit
Wow.
connecting with spirit. Yeah.
Yeah, just your spirits connecting.
Mm.
Wow.
I see you. I'm honoring you.
Ugh. And for you to be able to see that kind of suffering, and then to be able to see all those effects from the genocide, which, when the genocide happened, I was in Zimbabwe at the time.
Mm.
And I remember it so well because when I found out about it, it was actually towards the end,
Okay.
you know? And to just imagine that that was happening not too far away from where we were. And it was just so life changing for us, even who were in other parts of Africa.
Yeah.
And then now for you to be going back and seeing those effects. Yes, I mean, when you look at Rwanda as a whole and the strides that have been made and just how amazing things are, and considering the growth that has happened over this short period of time, it's incredible. But we should not forget.
Mhm. We are a resilient people, and I was lucky enough. I was in Uganda during the actual genocide. We moved back right after, like right at the end. But the impacts and the intergenerational trauma of children or survivors of the genocide who did not live in it,
Mm,
but still today have experienced the same symptoms as their parents.
mm,
And that power of intergenerational trauma
yeah.
is so real.
Well,
And
since you're already talking about it, let's talk about intergenerational trauma. You guide the conversation. I just take you there.
like, if you follow me, we're going to be everywhere. But right, so we know now with the research, there's more and more research, and you probably know this better than I, but around more genetics. The
Hmm.
research is coming, so epigenetics is starting to show their DNA that mothers pass to their kids. And so, and also one of the theories around evolutionary aspect of that is that, let's say, a mother is pregnant during a war and they are very I mean, all the things, fear and anxious around
Mhm.
safety and all of that. But by the time they have their child, they're outside, they're no longer in that space. But now the child is wired to survive in a place where the way they were in utero. So they already, so you have that anxious child and you don't know why.
Yeah.
You have that kid who's hypervigilant. You have that child who is, they are carrying that DNA of what the mother was experiencing at the time. And in addition to that, then we also have how we parent from who we
Mm.
are and what
Mhm.
things we went through. And I think we started talking about these things. There's messages, first of all, that we get from our own parents and their own stuff, right? So
Yes.
you already have that DNA part. And then we have the behavioral conditioning. So if you throw in religion, right, it's what good and bad, um, guilt and not guilty, heaven and hell, things you can or can't do, shame, all the fun stuff. Um, and then communication, right?
Mhm.
We all don't realize our parents' voices become our inner talk.
Yeah.
Most of us, for better or for worse, they were doing the best they could with what they knew or didn't know. That most of Africans, or a lot of immigrants, I hear this often, the way they encourage us is by comparing us to somebody else.
Yes.
So and so's kids did this. Or you work really hard, you bring all those straight A's, and they're like, okay, good, praise God. Why should I reward you for what you should do? You bring a B home, then you're going to hear it. So and so's kids are so much, what you've let the whole family honor depends, it's on your shoulders. What do you
Yeah.
mean you don't want to be a doctor? What do you mean you don't want to be an engineer? I heard somebody say they're a disappointment because they became it was some big deal. Now I can't remember what the thing is, but it wasn't doctor or lawyer.
Yeah.
They make way more than any of those professions combined.
Yeah.
They are happy and thriving, but they're still considered the disappointment of the family. Plus, the one thing is what they did, right? So if we've experienced those things and then you bring a child in this world, we all want our kids to be safe, first and
Yeah.
foremost. We want our kids to have the better life. But when we've not healed ourselves, we start putting those things on them, those
Mhm.
expectations, that inner voice that I've carried without noticing onto them. And then they internalize that. And until
Mhm.
somebody breaks that cycle, until
Mm.
somebody does that work, I'm like, but why do I do what I do?
Yeah.
Why do I expect this? Why do I expect this of my child?
Yes.
An example for me that I notice and I have to catch myself is my understanding around rest.
Mm.
Anytime my mom would watch you sitting down, you're lazy. What are you doing with your life? That means you need more chores. That means you're slacking, right? Why is everybody just sitting around? Because it's
Yeah.
unacceptable. And for the life they came out of, a lot of work, you had to be productive, right? They did a lot of farming work and cattle ranches. And internally, I internalize that rest is earned. You gotta be exhausted till you're about to fall over. Now you can rest. I can prove why I'm resting. I need to show proof that I deserve this. And or if I'm not doing something productive, I'm lazy or I'm letting somebody else down. And I don't mind. It's the devil's workshop, right? So, and now we come to this. I see my kids just chilling. They had a long day at school, or whatever their long day means to them. It doesn't align with what I consider a long day, but for them
Yes.
it's valid. And they're just taking a few minutes to watch a show, do nothing. And the first thing that comes to mind, are those dishes washed? Did you put away your laundry? And I come up with a long list of things that could be done. And they're like, what? We're resting. We just sat down. Like, well, you do everything you need to do first before you can rest. Like, darn it.
Right.
And now I have to catch myself. I'm like, but why? Why can they just have fun or just relax or not prove that they've done? And I have to have that inner conversation with myself, and I'm like, okay, maybe I need to sit down and also learn from them what it means to our bodies to just be with yourself, to just be with your children without working, earning, productivity. Or even when I sit down, I want to bring a bag of laundry next to me so I feel
Yes.
at least I'm still doing something. I'm not wasting time. And that concept of wasting time, what does that mean? Why? Time is here for us. Anyway, so that's kind of some of the things that we don't realize we are perpetuating, and that's on the lower side. Others,
Yeah.
obviously, they pass on bigger traumas of that bring somebody's self-esteem or yeah.
I laugh because I'm not really sure where I got it from because it's not like growing up I was told to always be busy. I feel like I've always just been a busybody, like
Mhm.
I'm always doing something. So even my children growing up, like there was one word that was banned in the house that was not allowed. You were not allowed to say I'm bored. Because if you say that you are bored, I will find something for you to do. Because I can't imagine being bored because there's so much you can do. You can read, you can walk outside, you can go and cook, you can do there is so much that can be done. You can clean. Cleaning can never be done. So you telling me you are bored means
What
let
is
me
that?
find you something to do. So my kids, even up to now, I don't know that they actually use the word bored because in their minds now they're gonna have to unlearn that it's not banned to use the word bored. But I am definitely that person who is always finding something to do.
Hmm.
I cannot sit still unless it's time to go to bed.
Mm.
And my daughter does accuse me of living an urgent life as if I'm going to be dying tomorrow. And I tell her I might. And I have so many things I want to do. And so that's why I'm always living, like always doing something. And honestly, I'm just not ready to let that go yet.
Yeah, what comes up for you if you were to think about just being versus doing?
I feel like because doing things that I'm doing other than when I'm at the hospital working is actually therapeutic
Mhm.
and it's actually good for me. And I'm the kind of person who spends a lot of time alone and I enjoy it. So
Mm.
either I am writing or I'm talking to amazing people like you
Mm.
or I am reading. And I'm just always doing something. And I love gardening even though I'm not like great at it. And right now cuz I'm scared of being outside cuz I'm scared there are snakes, but otherwise I would be out there gardening and doing all sorts of things. So to me even though it's like it seems like I'm just always busy
Mm.
doing something, it's things that edify me and they fulfill me. So so I cannot just sit and just watch TV and just sit
Mhm.
there. If I am watching TV with my husband, because he loves TV, he watches TV all the time, I'm on my computer doing something while watching TV. Because, yes, I have that concept where I just feel like I'm wasting time if I'm just sitting and watching TV. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to really unlearn that and just be still.
Who? So, it feels like there's a continuation of camera of unpacking what what that stillness, why, whether or not and nothing is good or bad. I don't live in that space of
Yeah.
binary. It's whether it's helpful or unhelpful, right? Like sometimes either we're running away from something there and or we haven't explored it, so we don't know. And or
Mhm.
um
Mhm.
there's an attachment to doing, maybe that adds worth or value to your life or an urgency. Like maybe
Mhm.
I know my sisters always say I'm dark for this, but I always had this sense that I'm probably gonna die in my 40s because all the women on my side of the family did. And I felt like I
Yeah.
wanna do all the things. Like I'm like you, I'm a doer. I'm always
Yeah.
going, but it's like, "Oh God, where are you now in the world? What, you're doing another thing? What? You just graduated. We thought you're gonna relax." Like, "Oh no, now there's a new project," right? But I also knew for me part of that was trauma response.
Mhm.
Before I did my therapy, I just don't wanna sit with my thoughts or with my
Yeah.
you don't know what's gonna come up, so I'd rather do. And And it's validating to see progress.
See that part right there, that I don't want to sit with my thoughts, because I think that's what got me through, being a teenage parent and dealing with all that, and then being in an abusive marriage and dealing with all that. I was always busy in those times, and I found things to keep me busy, and those are the things that also helped me overcome those challenges, and it's just been natural for me to do, that I've
Yeah.
never actually been able to just sit down and just be.
So they helped us survive, and now we don't know how to thrive. And thrive
Look at that.
requires rest. Thrive requires slow. But we're
This
comfortable.
slow living.
The slow living is soft life era. Come on. But we're good at surviving, so why fix what's not broken, so to speak? But when it's no
Yeah,
longer serving you, if you're missing out on that quality time with people, because we have to do, if we're missing out with quality time with self, just because I'm alone, it doesn't mean I'm connecting with myself, right?
yeah,
I could also still be disconnected through other means, which we have plenty nowadays. So, what is it taking away from your life versus what is it adding? And what is the value system we're using to make those decisions versus the blank, which social media does now. It's like, this is wrong. We should all just do this because
right,
we know it's
right.
right. There's so much nuance and context. So for us, just asking for yourself, why? What's my why?
Yeah,
What is it adding or taking away? And where do I find the life I want to live?
yeah.
If we can answer those questions and feel fully aligned, it is what
Then
it
we're
is.
good.
It is what it is. Yes.
Okay, I guess
Yeah,
I got homework to do after this podcast.
there you go.
Tell me about grief, losing your mom when you were young, and just the suddenness of it. How, like for you, how have you journeyed through that to this point? Because I was 35 when I lost my mom, so I was much older. And it's it's something that even as an adult, like I was like as a big girl with my own kids, I even struggled to help my kids through that because they were such a central part of their lives, you know?
Yes. Oh, that is a journey. Again, like everything else, that is also contextual. I You'd probably have experienced it very differently from how your sister experienced it, even though
Mhm.
you both lost
Mhm.
your mom. So for
Yeah.
me, I'm really good in crises.
Mm.
That's why we stay busy. We
Mhm.
thrive in that
Mhm.
little
Mhm.
adrenaline rush. Give me something to do so I
Yep.
don't feel. It's so, I guess for the audience, I keep forgetting that we're recording something versus a conversation. The context matters here. So, um, that summer of 2010, my mom and I actually took a trip back to Rwanda and Uganda, and it was her first time going back since she had moved to the US.
Wow.
I had moved back to work there, came home, and then, so I was taking her, but I was staying, so it felt like I'm taking her home, because now it
Yeah.
was my home, and that was the first time my mom was very loving, open, all of that, but really closed off. Like,
Mhm.
most stories about my mom I learned after her death than I did in her while she was alive. She wasn't one to get into all the feelings or any of that. She was very typical African mom, like, "And then what?"
Yeah.
Um Or she would say something like, "Okay, in Kinyarwanda, say mwarahaze." It's like, "Y'all, you have too much that this matters." It means like you no longer have any needs in your life if you stop and say, "Oh, look at a cute sunset." And she's like, "Really?" Or, "Oh, talk to me about your childhood." And she's like, "What's there to know?" She was that person.
It's very interesting because she may have been raised in Rwanda and had completely different experiences, and my mom raised in Zimbabwe. But like, I don't know anything hardly about her childhood except for the things that I found out from her sisters after she passed away.
A lot of it was around pain, right, for
Mhm.
them. I mean,
Mhm.
for her, I will speak for her. So again, survival is let's push it away and do what we gotta do. Nobody has time to feel sorry for yourself. And so as a result, we're not gonna talk about it either because we can bring to light what we are hiding from ourselves,
Yeah.
what we haven't felt or worked through. And so that summer was the first time I had a one-on-one with her. And I was old enough. I was just starting to get to that stage where kids start appreciating their parents as humans versus just as another, like, oh God, here we go again.
Yes.
Or you just see them as providers.
Yes.
And so I was so grateful. Of course, at the time I didn't see it, but we visited everybody who's ever crossed her path, people she loved, neighbors, friends. It seemed like she knew she was dying that year. Literally prays she would end every visit is, "If I don't see you on this side of the earth, may God help us see each other on the other side." Everywhere we went, we're like, "The hell? Why are you being so dramatic?" Like, that was my thoughts. And she would pray for everyone at the end of every visit. I almost feel like I did a goodbye tour with her without knowing I did. Um, and then she was flying back, but she was gonna fly back out of Uganda. I'm like, "Oh, there's no need for me to take another flight there." I said my goodbyes in Rwanda. I went to Uganda, and she came back and got in a car accident, um, in December. So that's a few months later. But even when she returned to the US, she started visiting people all around Berrien Springs in South Bend. Everybody tells you she would visit and say all the nice things and kinda like a goodbye. And her prayer had always been, maybe that's where we get all the dark humor from. But she always talked about death as a normal thing, and she had always told God she wants to die before her kids. Like, she never wanted to bury her kids. So there was a weird sense like she knew this, I don't know, maybe all things in hindsight. So she passes away, and I'm still in Rwanda during this time in a car
Mm,
accident. My dad is driving. It was winter, on their way to be with Grace as she was going into labor with her first child.
mm,
And, oh, speaking of intergenerational trauma too, Grace, I not to share her story for her, but my mom was on the way to be with her as she was giving birth to her first child when she passed away on the spot. My grandmother on my dad's side passed away on her way back from visiting when Grace was born. And it just felt, so she was starting to, it hit her probably the hardest. Of like, what is happening? And so the way she protected that child would not even step on grass because of all the trauma attached to that birthing experience and all of it. And so when mom passed, I I saw the kindness of humanity in ways I had never, in the hand of God in a way that I've never experienced before. I was the only one all the way in Rwanda. I get this phone call at 3 a.m. Car accident. Your mom didn't make it. The heck? And people everywhere from Rwanda came in. Culturally, people just come to you. They all came and stayed with me the whole time. I was working for the Ministry of Defense at the time in Rwanda. They sent a whole army. I'm not even kidding. They put up a line and cleared the way for me to get to the airport. They put together money. All these soldiers I've never met
mm,
before. They make me stand in any line at nobody's airport. They Everybody, and that's another beauty of being home and being with your people. It's so different. So I come back, and right away I just jump in logistical mode. Okay, what needs to be done? I was that girl keeping the spreadsheets, keeping this, and let's go to the funeral home and let's do this. And um, m- me and my siblings, we all kind of have our niches
mhm.
unspoken, but when the time comes, everybody just gets in their
Knows
space
what they need to do.
where you land, and we get things done so smoothly. So I'm usually the logistical manager, all things kind of, and and we did what we needed to do, buried her. My dad was in a coma after the accident, but luckily he was able to come out and fully recovered later. But he was still needing a lot of help. I was the only one who w- wasn't tied down by anything at that point because they had a kid and married. Grace had just had a child. Judy was in
Mm.
college. I was the only one kind of finding myself, I guess, or, um, and with flexibility. So I
Yeah.
decided to stay in Michigan and lived with him for a while and didn't connect with grief at all. It was
Mhm.
just like, "Oh,
Mhm.
that sucked. What do we need to do? What's next?" Start applying for jobs. Got a job in Grand Rapids. And that's actually, I say this jokingly, but also not jokingly, that the things you'll do because you're not grieving or because of grief,
Girl,
like, I got married because I
I
wasn't
know.
grieving.
I know it. I know it. I was just gonna say because we're gonna touch on that.
Yes,
Yes, we're gonna touch on that for sure. You know, we're gonna touch on that.
bring it on. I'm open book for those reasons because like, we worked through it all, and so I'm
Oh,
here if I can help one person. But yeah, I somehow feel like I was sleeping through those 3 years after her death. Just doing the next thing, but not knowing what's happening or where I am, what I'm doing. And it felt like I woke up 3 years later and I was married. I was living in the suburbs, driving a van with 3 kids, going to library, whatever those story times. And I'm like, "What?" Everybody was just confused how I went from Miss I wanted to be the best auntie they could be, traveling the world, working with women and kids, the can tie me down feminist to what's happening? And that was the moment I woke up like, okay, well, I guess we're here. Acceptance is key. Awareness. And then started doing my work. And that doesn't change because every season once I woke up to my life, and then, like, those are moments like, "Man, I wish my mom was here to ask these questions."
mhm.
I have amazing sisters who dropped everything and showed up every time I had kids. My dad remarried, and a wonderful woman who came and stayed with me for a week when I had my twins. So I had a community, but there are things about your mom that you know
Yeah.
it's always gonna be unconditional. You can count on it even when you're not being your best self. They
Yes.
have to stay.
Yes.
And every stage, I'm like, "Man, I wish I could ask her this. I wish I could hear more now that I have kids and living this like, how the heck did she do it with 5 and
Mm.
going from war to war and poverty, and she got married at 18. What the heck was that like?" And so I think there's grief in every stage for different things of what you wish you could have, of
Yeah.
questions, of yeah. So you miss a new mom for every stage of your life.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and that's the thing because we are very similar. Maybe that's why we get along so well. Because I was the same way. I am the crisis manager. I'm a surgeon. I mean,
Right. Makes sense.
that's what we do. We manage crisis. But I can tell you that like when mom died, everything happened so fast and within such a short amount of time. And I was in my last year of training in surgical residency. And I literally went, she passed away. We buried her. I wasn't even home like a whole week. And then I went back to New York to finish my residency. And I never even took time to grieve. And I continued on because after that, I had to take my general surgery boards. And then I had to start fellowship. And it was a transplant surgery fellowship. So it was like a very difficult fellowship. And so you feel like, and notice I say you feel like, it's not like you don't, but you feel like you don't have time to grieve because you have all these things that need to keep happening. Life is still going on. And then you get to a point one day where everything just like it's like a dam just lets loose. And it's just on a regular day. It doesn't even seem like there is something that in entices it, something that gets you going, but then you just get hit so hard by grief. And if you had taken that time to heal properly and go through the proper channels of healing, you wouldn't be dealing with it later, because we make so many decisions when we are grieving that we normally wouldn't make when we are in a whole place, when we're in that place of healing and wholeness. And we make so many decisions, and then you wake up one day and you're looking back and you're like, oh my gosh, just what just happened? What just happened here? Because we were finding something to numb that pain and trying to avoid dealing with it. And as busybodies already, we cannot sit still with our own feelings. And now you're a whole wife with a minivan.
I could have had my tears somewhere. And of course, that's funny. Right? And in fairness, that's the longest thing that's been with us as humans is loss and grief. But it's also the most secretive or uncomfortable. No one
Isolating.
isolating.
Yes.
Nobody knows how to talk about it. Nobody wants to even acknowledge or say the name of the person who died. And everybody doesn't know how to move around grief.
Yes.
Which is so weird that we've all had this experience one way or another, from parents to siblings to extended. Nobody under the sun has lived long enough and not lose somebody close to them.
Yeah.
But even as we know we've gone through it, when somebody else goes through it, like, what do I do? Do I send food? I hate it when everybody just sent food. Okay, do I go over? What if they're not ready for it? What if I say it and we just get stuck?
Yeah.
Even when we've been there.
Yes.
I know that what I wish and all the people that I hold near and dear who supported me in that space, nobody has the right answer because we're all humans and unique, but they just show up when
Yes.
they
Just
know
being there.
just be there. And so that's become my thing. Like, I don't know if they like flowers or don't. I don't know if they want more food because everybody's going to be sending a
Yes.
pie or this.
Yes.
But I will know if I'm there.
I am coming. I'll just be there.
I
We'll
will
just
show
sit
up.
together.
Yes.
You want to cry? We can cry together. You want to laugh? We can laugh together. You want to just reminisce about the past? We can do that. Just being physically there.
Being there.
It's interesting because I often find Job's friends to be obnoxious. When because I'm like, okay, they did one good thing, which was come. They came. And
They
for the
came.
first 7 days, they were good. They sat there quietly with him, supporting him. And then when they started talking,
They
oh
got
my gosh, I'm like, come on, guys, you could have just kept quiet, just seen your friend through this, and then let him be. And that's the problem, because we cannot sit silent. We want to feel that quietness with something. And so now we're saying things that are offending to the people that are grieving.
And none of that is ever for the person. The discomfort we then, back to the importance of sitting still with our stuff. When we have practiced being with our uncomfortable feelings,
Yes.
we can sit with somebody else's discomfort.
Yeah.
I can be in stillness with praises, tears.
Yes.
I don't know how to sit with mine. So
Mm-mm.
my thing is gonna be like, what do I need to do to make her feel better so she can stop this? Because we don't like this. I don't like this.
I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'm uncomfortable. Here's a tissue. Here's some ice cream. Do you want to watch Netflix? There's a reason for everything. God has a reason.
There's a reason for everything. For everything, there's a reason. Okay, but I don't know the reason right now, so it's not helping me.
Exactly. I don't care about your reasons or your logic. I'm in my pain and grief. Your only
Yes.
job is to sit with it. But yes, joy comes in the morning. Oh,
But the morning is taking too
all
long.
the things, like, I'm still in the damn night. I don't need your light right now. Like, I just want a blanket.
Oh my
And
God.
even with kids, right? When kid starts crying, Of course, we have mirroring neurons. We're empathic people. We're gonna feel their pain. And
Yes.
as a parent, my first
Yes.
instinct is make it stop.
Yes.
Stop. So if I can soothe them into stopping, the next thing I know, I'm yelling. I'm
Yes.
ready to cry about. Again, it's not about them or for them in this moment. It's like I'm so uncomfortable with discomfort.
Yes.
Projects it on the person who needs my presence and support.
Mm.
Job's friends. They're like, all right, we've sat here long enough. Now, what you gonna do about this? Because this is uncomfortable. Deny that God so we can go home.
Oh my gosh.
Right. So for all these reasons, the lessons that we can't give what we don't have. So if we've
No.
not practiced giving ourselves that compassion, that stillness, we can give it to the next person. We need them to also move on. We moved on. We went back to work the next day. They're
That
not
part. I don't
right.
think that grief is just one timeline. That, you know what, 2 weeks, that's it. You should be
Oh,
over it by now.
yeah. And if you're not, what's wrong with you? Then we start
Yeah.
being the person for
For those who are grieving for 10 years and in the throes of it for 10 years,
yeah,
that's their timeline. It's okay.
yeah. Yeah, we're all guilty. Like, okay, you're not the first one to lose a person. Move on, right? We've heard all of these, or maybe some of us have said them ourselves. But
Mm.
everybody's on their own journey. We don't know, and if and when we catch ourselves in that discomfort,
Yeah.
the first thing is to check in.
Yeah.
And maybe the only thing I can offer people who show up to these to the wakes and the funerals, before you say anything, ask yourself. I love the acronym WAIT. Why am I talking?
Yes. I
Just
like that.
why am I talking? Most of the time, it's for myself. It's to feel like I'm contributing, I'm comforting, I'm giving them hope.
Yeah.
It's not usually rooted from what they need.
Yes.
It's like, what do
And
they
most of the time, what they need is just your presence. Yeah.
in silence? Very few
Wow.
of us have the right thing to say. What can you say when somebody has lost the
Nothing. Nothing.
what have they not heard? There's nothing soothing.
Mm-mm.
It just has to take its course. So most of the things we do outside of our presence, outside
Yeah.
of maybe, yes, I notice I've been here all day, you haven't eaten anything. Yes, I'ma feed you. Imma bring you
Yes.
a glass of water. Imma take care of your needs as seen versus, yeah, Imma suggest the right thing that you stop grieving about your mom in this moment. Like, I've not heard anyone has that kind of power.
No,
Yeah.
never.
So is it about me or for them? Who is this for?
So we have experienced death,
Yeah.
and then we experience the loss of a marriage,
Mm,
divorce,
another
and
death.
that person is not dead. They are still very much alive. There is, I don't care what anybody says about closure. There is no such thing as closure. I'm sorry to say, but there is no such thing as closure. When you have lived your life and lived your life with somebody else and shared your life that vulnerably with somebody else, there is no such thing as closure. So, for all those people who are in the throes of divorce right now, let me tell you, as a seasoned divorcee, there is no such thing as closure. But
Event.
but we have our doctor here who is going to tell us practical tips on how to heal after divorce, considering we have experienced it. And
Yes.
we know there are people who watch the podcast faithfully who are going through it right now. And it's not easy, hey, but you have to do the work, because otherwise you end up in another relationship that's just a different version of the one you came out of.
Preach.
Oh, I'm preaching because I know I did it.
So many reasons to love you and we get along, right? Is that transparency. Because I think one of the difficulties, and I'm not speaking to this from an academic or professional expertise. This is from personal experience, expertise, lived experience.
Lived
Of,
experience,
of course, we
lessons
can
learned.
lessons learned, and of course, we can sprinkle in what applies within the psychology world. And I'd be the first one to say, when you're the one going through it, none of that applies. I can teach and preach about all the tools and what to do, and I did not do a single one of those things at all because nobody prepares you for all the feelings
Mm-mm.
that are attached to divorce.
Whew.
And this is probably the second time I'm saying this outwardly on a podcast or in a
Yeah.
public space. Because one of those things, especially for those of us who grew up in the church,
Yes.
the first big thing is shame.
Oof.
What they've told you, and I've never bought into this at all, but you don't realize that even the things you don't believe in
Yes.
are still implanted in you because of how often they have been repeated.
Yes.
There's a reason they say repetition, right, is a way to learn. So you learn the things you didn't intend to learn because they are in your space all the
Oh
time.
yeah.
I was always the biggest feminist there is, supporting women to walk away from things that don't serve them. And child, the moment I consider divorce, I don't know
Hmm.
what these other voices came in. It's a sin. It's wrong. How about the children? That's what marriages are. I'm like, this is some BS. I was about to cuss. I know dad is listening to this.
That
I'm
is
not
listening,
going to
girl.
cuss. Sorry, dad. Um, so that is a really huge emotion that most of us don't know what to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
It isolates you. It gets in the way of your healing.
Yes.
It gets in the way in connection with yourself and others.
Yeah.
It's the loudest in those first few, I, for most of the
When
time.
when you're contemplating,
Yes.
you've gotten to a point where you know that this is not
It's
serving
saying
you,
it.
this is not working well for you, but already you are being held back by
Yes.
shame.
What will people say? Why will it does? What does that mean about all the things? It has a script, and I
And for
think
high achievers, oh, now a failure.
I feel.
I have failed at something.
And the funny thing is, even when people did not support that marriage to begin with, they are quick to still try to talk you into staying in something they knew was not for you anyway.
Yes.
So just gotta love all the incongruence of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
So there's shame. My 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 story that I won't get into details because now my kids are teenagers. So,
Yes.
but it was the minute I knew this is not it. I had
Mm-hmm.
known before, but the story was too loud.
And we'll go back to that because when we really think about it, and ladies and gentlemen, we all know before we even get into that marriage, we know deep down in our hearts, we know, but we ignore it. Anyway.
Intuition is everything. And I can honestly say I was not, and I don't know how to describe this or even explain this. It's like I do not remember. Like I feel like I was not awake for the whole period of, and that's why it happened fast.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of gaslighting and love bombing and all the things. But also, I really it seriously feels like I woke up. I'm like, when did I say yes? How did I land here? What happened? Which is so hard to explain even to myself because I planned a wedding. I went to it.
Right. But it's hard for you to explain and it's hard for somebody to
I
understand who's never been through that situation before. But for people that have experienced it, it's like, girl,
get it.
we hear you loud and clear. We understand.
But what shames us is that if I can even wrap my head around it, how can I? You want to you want other people to validate
Mm.
your reasons. And that was the first thing I had to let go of.
Mm-hmm.
And when I knew for sure, like the minute I woke up to my life and took it back and went to the initial part of the work in accepting, like, okay, here's where I am. Let me make it work because I'm here now.
Yeah.
And then I started noticing the patterns and knowing this is toxic. This is not going to work for me. The message was like, well, of course, you always didn't trust people anyway. Your trauma, da 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 da. Then I started gaslighting myself into
Mhm.
staying,
Mhm.
quieting that inner knowing
Yes.
until I got a ticket, which I saw as a ticket out. I'm like, oh, now I have a real reason I can show people,
Mm.
look, for
Mhm.
a reason to get out. Like I
Mhm.
need
And
permission.
it's an acceptable
This
reason.
is acceptable. They all get it.
Yeah,
Yep.
and now it's not a sin anymore because this is even an acceptable reason in the Bible.
And I said, "And acceptable for whom? It's my life." And so once I got my ticket, I wasn't even mad at the harm done. I was like, yay, my ticket to Hollywood, like that little show. I was like, my ticket out. But what I did, I first asked myself 3 questions, even with the
Mhm.
ticket, because they're still kids.
Mhm.
Am I going to harm my kids forever? Is this da da da? So I asked myself 3 questions, and now I use these questions for all big decisions.
Yeah.
One, if this was my daughter,
Mhm.
what would I advise her to do? My daughter or best friend? If I wrote a book
Mhm.
for the world to see about my autobiography, how would I want this chapter to end in a way that I'll be proud of?
Yeah.
Or that I would want the world to see, right? That I don't have to change how it ends in that book.
Yeah.
And the last one was if I'm at the end of my life and I have the
Mm.
opportunity to look back,
Mhm.
which part of my decision would I be most proud that I did, or which one would I regret?
Mm.
Because those are really big defining moments. We
Yeah.
all want what's best for our kids, even when we don't know what
Yes.
we want ourselves. I know I can go wrong if I use that as my guide, because
Yeah.
there's anyone we all will give our lives for is our children.
Yeah.
And all the 3 were like, go. Like, done. Like, okay. So now I don't have to convince anyone. So the next thing I did was I'm going to therapy.
Mhm.
And that was my second time in therapy ever. I was like, but this one is very specific. And I did that. Walked out my grief, because like you said, that's a different type of grief. Somebody who's here, but you've planned your life, right? You're grieving what was to come,
Yes.
grieving time wasted or spent, maybe not wasted, but gone.
Yeah.
It has a different taint now. It's different meaning. You're grieving the disappointments.
Yeah.
You're grieving who you were.
Were. And those childhood dreams that now are not coming to fruition because of the decisions that you made.
You're grieving what your children's lives are going to be, because now they no longer have the good old
Nuclear.
2
Mhm.
parent households that everybody seems to think that's what determines a good childhood.
Mhm.
We know it's a healthy household that determines, not 2 humans in the house. But even that, we know it scientifically, but again, you feel there's a shame attached to, I'm the
Yes.
one doing this to their lives, and what does that mean for them?
Yes.
It's a lot of that's a lot in one place. And the disappointments of, whether or not you're gonna belong again. Now you're in a different category, you're in the divorcee category with a stigma attached to it, and now you also become the single woman, single mom
Single
situation.
mom. Yeah.
All the stigma is like, okay, now it's a whole new identity. So I went and worked through that before actually even moving out or saying anything,
Mhm.
serving him the divorce. Like, I'm gonna do this from a healed place,
Yeah.
that I don't play out all the emotions. And it was all for my kids. It was not for me. It's not because I'm that great at managing. I'm like, I don't want to harm my kids anymore. But once I did that, I decided to be the one to move out and start from scratch.
Yeah.
I was like, to get peace, I'm gonna do this my way. I'm taking
Mhm.
my life back.
Yes.
And anytime, and as we all know, seen enough movies, if you start fighting for things or money or retirements or who stays in the house and all of that, it brings more toxicity.
Yes.
Like, I don't need it. Praise. I left with just my clothes, my kids, and got an apartment,
It started over.
furnished it from scratch. I was a grad student with just an assistantship
Ooh,
as the income, because that was another reason
now
he
you're going from income that's proper, suburbia mom income to starting over.
to assistantship income. And that was another reason he probably didn't think I could leave, because what am I gonna do?
Right. Yeah,
And
because when you've lived a certain life and you're used to a certain level of life,
yes.
and now you're starting over by yourself with these children. Yes, depending. Some people are great and they will help with the children. Some people are not, and you're having to do it on your own and with the support of your diehard people. But with all that, just the level of life that and you've been living, which is what keeps a lot of women in those relationships, to starting over with nothing. That's a rude awakening.
Exactly. And even when there's support financially, because the courts will make you do that, at least here, if people are still making an income the right way, that day in and day out single motherhood also takes a toll.
Yeah.
The week after I moved out, the world closed down for COVID.
Oof.
So now I'm single mom, teaching, homeschooling 3 kids, teaching classes for the assistantship while also doing my own PhD work. Those were the moments we talked, and I'm like, "I listened to your podcast, and I was about to give up, and I heard you." So,
But
when
you
I said
didn't give up. You didn't give up.
I told you this before, I wrote that email thanking my advisors for believing in me, for the opportunity, but this is where it stops.
Nope.
And I heard you doing above and beyond the most of what I was even going
The
through. I'm
most,
like, "Okay," and she kept going.
the mostest.
You are the epitome of that, like, your picture needs to be next to that word.
The mostest.
She did 60 credits with baby and weekend jobs? Like, I only have 1 job. Nah, okay, we can do this, like, take a breath, and so when I say you literally helped me get through that, I I was on my way with this letter. I was done. And you get through on stage, and you do the work, and so
Uh-huh.
COVID helps because then I didn't have a lot of the outside explanation and stories, and of course,
Yes.
still found a way to find out and bring their nonsense, and I was so over it. Some people would straight up ask, "What are my kids' names?"
Yeah.
So you don't even know their names, but you think you know
But
what's best for me and who I live with and who raises them. Okay, you go have a lot of seats because you clearly have not earned a place to have something to say.
that part. Like,
Everyone,
you don't even know what is going on in my life. You don't know what I've experienced in my life. You don't know what my day-to-days are, and you feel you have something to say about how I proceed with my life or how I live my life.
the only time I've ever been disrespectful to adults, including a pastor who thought he was coming in with the good word of how, but he didn't even have the full story. He was being manipulated anyway. And I gave him a nice, respectfully, and he was like, apologist. I had no idea. Like, well, then next time maybe be with the person versus coming in to judge or to change their minds or yeah, so it was all the things. And so back to the topic of grief and that process and the healing. Like, we all know healing is not a destination. It's a process, a journey.
It's a long journey
When there's kids
that never
involved,
ends.
it never ends. I walk through one thing and I'm like, "Oh, I'm so proud of me." Like, these text messages don't get me riled up.
Yep.
Okay, now I'm able to walk away and I know I'm gonna say something that's not godly. And I'm like, I'm finding my groove. I'm good. And there's just that one moment. It's like, what happened to that healed me? Or
Oh my
we get to
gosh.
that next stage and something. Yes. And so, biggest, I think what I would say, one of the most important parts when going through this is grace for yourself.
Yes.
Like the way you would support a best friend going through it, the way you would support somebody you really love, because we all don't know how to do that for ourselves. Like
Yes.
giving yourself grace. And especially for us fixers or doers, we want a good checklist. Like, okay, I did this, I read the book, I went to the therapy, now I'm good. You can't touch me. And boom, you're right back. And sometimes you're back at zero in like a
Mhm.
snap of minds, going back like, these are hard, complex emotions. You had a whole life built out that
Yeah.
was dismantled. Then you have these humans that are looking to you to understand, what part did I play in this? How do I love two people who are not getting along, maybe not
Right.
getting along, or they know you don't like each other?
Yeah.
Their whole job is wanting to fix that. And
And
you're
now and because then, they're children and they don't want to seem like when they're with you, they want to seem like you are everything. When
everything.
they're with dad, they want dad to feel like he's everything. But how do they reconcile it? And a lot of times because we are so selfish, we make it seem like choose. They are children.
And when you've not done that work for yourself, you don't see that. I think we are both clearer on it in hindsight, farther along. Watching them having to navigate a world so complex that you even can't understand yet
Mm.
breaks your heart. And but at the
It's
same time,
heartbreaking. And
yes,
especially for us, we never experienced it because our parents were together.
yes. Whether they were happy or not, irrelevant. As a child, you just want them in the same place. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So grace for yourself that even when those moments happen, you can come back to them and say, listen, maybe I didn't handle this the right way.
Yeah.
Or I am sorry. Oh, I understand how hard this is. Oh, tell me how it is, because we don't know. That's not our experience. We know why we left. We had control and agency to make those decisions. They didn't. They didn't ask to be here. How can I support you? And we had plenty of those talks and tears from them, and it's so hard to watch. You're like, "I could have avoided this maybe, but I know why, so I didn't." I
Yeah.
put them in therapy, all of them, and some of them went kicking and screaming like, "I don't need therapy, I can't," like, maybe not, but what if you wanna talk to somebody about me?
Yeah.
I was like they're
Yeah.
like, "I can tell
A
you
safe
need
place for you to talk to
to
talk about
somebody."
mom.
Yeah, or your experiences that you feel like might hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
Or something I wouldn't hold space for, because I'm now I'm an exhausted single mom of 3 and PhD and work and running a nonprofit, and I'm not always gonna be understanding and kind and open. Sometimes it's like,
Yeah.
"I just need y'all to go to bed and just stop talking." See?
Uh,
So, first and foremost, grace.
yes.
Second, if you're just starting, take time to do your own healing
Mhm.
before you start fixing or managing. It's only one life you get, and it's
Yes.
yours alone. People can be beside you, in front of you, behind you. They can support, they can ridicule, they can criticize, they can be the best, but nobody is going to bed and waking up in your body, in your mind, and in your heart. And if every day you're waking up to somebody you don't like, you don't recognize, because anywhere you go, there you are.
Mhm.
And unless you can be with you and be at peace and be at joy, everybody else's opinion doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And letting that down, oof,
That is huge.
that freed me to do what I needed to do for me and for my kids.
Freedom.
Freedom. And I was lucky enough that all my siblings and all the people I care and love or care about their opinion supported me.
Yeah.
At least outwardly, whether or not they had other opinions behind the door, I don't care. Outwardly, they're like, "Who are with you? What do you need? What is support?" But not everybody has that,
No.
especially if you've been married to someone who is charming or lovable or has a way of winning people over or status. I know a lot of pastors' wives who stay in the dark because how can you be the person leaving a pastor or leaving the CEO? Or you should be lucky. So I know people get stuck in other people's stories about what that
Them.
marriage means for them.
Yes.
And it's when we let go of other people's stories about our lives, we can start healing.
And for those who are going through it and they have been in an abusive marriage or abusive relationship, it's so difficult because when you start off in an abusive relationship, you're isolated from the people that you love and the people that love you. And so now those relationships are tense and a lot of those relationships are broken. And you are pretty much alone because you haven't had those relationships cultivated. Because the one thing that that person does is to pull you away from those relationships, which makes it now harder to start over because you don't have that support.
Yes. And the shame again, saying, "Oh,
Ooh,
now you show up, you left us.
now you're showing up. Now you need us.
Now you need us." And we're all humans in a way that we're like, "Oh, okay. Now that you're stuck, you want me to show up for you? No, thank you. You left me," right? Versus thinking about what that must have been like for that person
Right.
to be isolated. And that's why they do it. They do it on purpose. The
Yeah.
abusers. They start with the emotional mind. Isolate you, make you feel like you're less than, make you feel like you
Yes.
can't live without them, break you down mentally.
Yep.
And when it gets to the physical, it doesn't even matter anymore
Right.
because this is the most powerful part.
Yes.
But most times, when we're ready to forgive ourselves and give ourselves grace and vulnerably show up to those people who love us
Yeah.
and I own, I think that's the biggest part, owning
Yeah.
the fact that I was in this thing, I didn't see it happening. I see it now, and I am so sorry for how our relationship broke, for
Yeah.
how I let this thing and even I let feels victim blaming because you it happens in such tiny, subtle increments.
Yes.
By the time this person gets to this point of isolation, they don't even know when it happened.
Right.
And when friends are trying to warn you that it's happening because they're objective, they're on the outside,
Oh, you don't see
you
it.
can't see it
You
because
can't. You're
you
deep
have
in it. You can't
in.
see it.
This is your view, and the people telling you are up here. And when you're here, you're like, well, but also he maybe takes me to romantic trips, or but he also brings me breakfast in bed. But he
Right.
also, right? You're comparing all the
Yeah, because it's not always going to be all bad for a lot of people.
right,
They are those good parts.
of course.
And so those are the things that we hang on to, that we hold on to. But those are also the things that are getting us deeper and deeper
Yes. And
into that. And that caused so much breakdown of our emotions.
yeah,
Emotionally, we are at a low,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. And your nervous system, it's also intentional on the whiplash of all the terrible and then the good, and then the terrible and the good. And so you can't stay in a sense of safety.
Yeah.
Your nervous system doesn't know what regulation and dysregulation feels like because it's always just trying to catch up to the next and the last. And so that creates this other inner way of being hypervigilant.
Mhm.
What's going to happen next? When is it? When is it not? What does this mean? What does it not? That separates you from yourself. That
Yeah, I
separates
like that
you.
inner vigilance because that's so much better than walking on eggshells.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. It's all of that is breaking you down slowly in a way that you don't see until you're at a breaking point,
Mm.
at a crisis, or you get your ticket.
Or you get your ticket.
Or you get
Y
your ticket. You're like, "This is acceptable." Not the fact that I can't sleep, not the fact that I always feel like I'm less than, not the
Yes.
fact that I'm always hypervigilant in my own home. Th All these things feel so minuscule because
Yep.
somebody told us they're good enough reasons.
What mind shifts did you have to make to get to yourself to that place of understanding your value and your self-worth past all that? Because you really have to do that. You really have to make those shifts in your mind.
I think that's why I was able to leave. That was the part that he was not able to break down.
Mm,
I am blessed enough that we always joke about this. Our mom always had this pride that looking from the outside, you're like, "But why?" Like, she was not rich. Like, we grew up in the ghetto, the slums of Kampala and, Kigali until way later. But she was never gonna look like her problems, and neither would her kids, ever.
no.
She gave us that inner pride in valuing yourself and respecting yourself and never let other people see you as less than, even if you
Mhm.
have. So there was that already internally built in.
Yeah.
And the other piece that I think was such a beautiful protector for me is my relationship to my siblings.
Mm,
That had I been in any other situation, we probably wouldn't be speaking
yeah.
now. The
Yeah.
isolation was starting.
Yes.
Tell these people one story, tell me a different story. How dare they? How dare she? And then obviously people hesitate to tell you what your spouse is doing or not doing.
Yep.
Your spouse, what if
Yep.
people turn on their friends because even when they tell them, oh, I found your spouse cheating, like you become the enemy
Oh,
versus
yeah. Oh, yeah.
the stories, right?
You never get between lovers.
Exactly.
Because the next day they are now lovey-dovey, and now you're the one in the doghouse.
Exactly. But I am so blessed that even when they could see things I couldn't see at the time, they stayed close to me. And we found ways to stay that connected.
Yeah.
So the shift I had to make for me, luckily, even in therapy and all of that, it was more outward than inward.
Mm,
I was able to separate from the beginning what's yours and what's mine.
yeah.
Um, that ticket, I never, and I think anybody can read between the lines what the ticket is, but I never even stopped to question who, how many, where, how. Didn't care.
Nope. I
That
got
had
my
nothing to
ticket,
do with
I'm
me.
out.
I was out.
It is acceptable.
So the shift I had to do for me was how to not let shame be the leading voice in this decision and not let whatever stigmas people attach to divorce or to single moms or to whatever define who I am.
Yeah.
That was the biggest one for me was how people see me or how I see myself through their eyes.
Yeah.
How you go back to church alone and sit by yourself and now you become the single woman that men have to watch out for or married people have to watch out for. Apparently that's a thing in churches. I didn't know this.
Oh, yeah, it is.
And the shift of course, right away, some people are already like, oh, when are you dating again? Oh, we know people.
And you're
Absolutely.
like, "My value is not based on whether I have a husband or not." Those are the things of the past that we need to untangle and get rid of. Because making our value as women the epitome of our value being marriage,
Yeah.
that is not it.
Not it. But they've told us from day one that that's it.
That's what we aspire to be,
Yeah.
Mrs.
And even that fact that we are Miss, Mrs., Miss, but there's only one Mister at all stages of their lives. I think is attached to whether or not you're with a man or a spouse. Actually, I wonder how. Okay, I'm digressing. I was like,
Digress away.
now I was wondering if lesbian couples get married, do they change their Miss to Mrs.? Because there is no, I don't know, like, huh? 'Cause all our identity is attached to our relationship to men
Yes.
as women in
Yes.
subtle ways and very clear ways that
Yes.
that's where you get your, um and if not, then you're just a hater, you're so angry, or you are all these other negative things. Like,
Yes.
how dare you be happy without a man? The audacity.
I'm curious to know, what has your faith journey been like?
You gonna have the pastors calling to pray.
I say, because I say, for me, I am a new generation Adventist. So I am
Oh,
Adventist. I believe in observing the Sabbath. I believe in some of the things that I was taught, but there are a lot of other things that you can't help but look at and question. Like, is this a lot of it is just legalistic things that you look at and you say, this has nothing to do with my salvation. At the end of the day, I need to have a relationship with God, a strong, solid relationship with God, a daily communion and relationship with God. Because how many people have you seen who are not Adventist who have even better relationships with God? And I know better is like, it's subjective,
yeah,
because you can't objectively say this one is better or this one is better. But for us, because our faith has shaped how we view life. And I am glad in a sense because it protected us from a lot of things as children.
yeah,
So we can look at it now and say, okay, so we were protected, we were sheltered. But there are a lot of other things that we need to look at that are not working for us anymore
not
in
on.
developing our relationship and getting us past that milk stage where we really need to dig deep and dive into what we need to do to have that solid relationship with God. Because at the end of the day, whatever it is that we do, it's about our salvation, not about what
Amen.
denomination we belong to.
Amen and amen. Like, hey, you just captured it all for me right there. Dave, my faith has been shifting slowly
Mhm.
from, okay, I knew a lot of this legalistic doctrinal things were no longer aligning, but they weren't such a big deal that they would make me question everything.
Yeah.
And then I moved into the way we see God as Adventists seems so small.
Mm.
Like it felt like we're putting God in such a small box. And there's a whole universe of so many people who see God in other ways. How can it be just this tiny percentage of a religion that are the only ones who know who God truly is or what God really wants? Like that didn't align for me. And if we use our logic, which God gave us for a reason, like, oh no, that somebody creates a whole world and diversity and all of that, and it's like, no, just this one way in this one little book is where all my truth is. And it's your job. Like, what a big job that it's your job, this 1% of people, to now travel to billions of others and tell them about this one hidden thing. But they're all my children. Like, that doesn't add up for an all knowing God, a loving God, a kind God to just hide this one thing. So I'm like, okay, that no longer aligns for me either. Okay, so what's next? And reading, talking to people from all walks of life. And I
Mhm.
grew up in such a diverse, religiously diverse place in Uganda. We went to mosques with our friends. They came to church with us. We went to Catholic churches. I've been to every denomination that I could think of. And everybody is doing something differently, but with the same concept,
Mm.
same why. They want to please a higher power for a better life later. Most, not all of them, most of them, different way of better life later.
Yeah.
But everybody's rule and law was love. Love your neighbor, love yourself, love nature, love the earth. Like take
Mhm.
care of living things and each other. Like, okay, we just found one thing. And that is also the greatest law that God put in the Bible. Like, all right, so maybe it's not the doctrines of the religion that matters more, but that's how I grew up. So it's more, it feels like family. I feel like I'm culturally Adventist. So it's just,
Yeah.
it still feels wrong to go to church on Sunday
Right.
also
Right.
because of all the, how we grew up. And then fast forward to the whole conversation on ordaining female pastors in the Adventist church. And the one church whose vision came from a woman, whose literal religion came from a woman's vision, is saying women do not have God's ordination to be pastors? Well, I think that makes sense for me. Adventists? And it felt so hypocritical. It felt like such a stab. And I just heard one pastor talk about how all these religions and churches love the labor of women, but without the compensation or the validation of their status in the church. They all benefit, but they don't want to like preach. I'll send that to you after this.
Yes.
I think that was the breaking point for me with Adventism. I don't like things that don't make sense.
Mhm. Mhm.
It can be the dumbest thing, even with racism. If you're hateful and you have your reasons and you're aligned with your hate, I respect you more than one who pretends they're not, but everything they're doing is not in alignment with what they say they do.
That part. Alignment.
Alignment is everything for me right now. And I'm like, okay, so getting to know God for myself versus the God I was given. The
Yes.
God I was given no longer aligned with how I'm seeing God play out in my life. They feel like two different people. One, I don't know about you, but we grew up with a missionary God who
Mm.
was white,
Mhm.
male, and sitting up in the clouds,
Mhm.
judging and pointing and da da da. That was the God given in Sabbath school. All our Jesus
Always watching for you to not do bad. When you do bad, oh, it very much works based. Like, yes, you're like, oh, yes, we're saved by grace, but it was very much heavy on works.
we were heavy on shame and guilt
Yep.
and little grace and love. And I watched, even when you're a kid and you haven't put all this together, well, so there's that white God that also is not in alignment with creating a black or people who are black and brown and then going to Ghana for the first time at the castles where the slaves were
Mhm.
kept. There's literally a church right above where the slaves were being kept before heading out. I don't know if you visited those castles
Mm-mm.
before.
I have not.
And you're like, so these people were literally praying and get out of church and rape women and beat and kill these people and then send them off to sea to go be slaves, knowing that other humans are right below where they're praising this God.
Mm.
So there was that first dissonance of also a white God that didn't match my view of love
Mhm. Mhm.
based on that history. Um, a male God, just as male, it feels patriarchal and made up. Also, that doesn't quite fit that idea of love
Yeah.
because of how much pain. Also, in my own, most people know my own story of like men have also been quite a source of pain in
Mhm.
humanity.
Mhm.
I'm like, we can't put God in such a small box of race and gender and religion and I've seen God play out in lives of people that society deemed low or deemed unworthy. Then I watched churches who are supposed
Mm.
to be the epitome of love and kindness literally shame young women for getting pregnant out of wedlock.
Oh, you
We
know
don't
it.
see, but we don't see those young men up there the same, getting the same, right? So there's a reason God is man. There's a reason we see them kicking people out of service to God because of a sin
Yep.
now
You
that
get censured because you got pregnant out of
because got
wedlock, or
pregnant.
you did something and now you're being told you cannot serve God for a period of time, which that I do not agree with.
Right. Like that doesn't make sense or align with a loving God who died for our sins. Like, okay, how is this the place for love and kindness and grace and welcoming and teaching?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, this is a place for disciplining, for shaming, for all the things but love.
So what is God to you now?
And I think I can't even really answer that in a way that is
Satisfactory.
concrete.
Yeah.
I think I'm still on that journey. What I know is, first and foremost, God is love.
Mhm.
If in anything I do is centered from a place
Perfect
of love,
love.
yes, unconditional.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, we assume because they say, God, love your neighbors as yourself. For most people, they assume that we all naturally love ourselves.
Yeah.
And so the work is to love others. But for a lot of us, is to love ourselves, to learn how to love ourselves.
Yeah.
Because we are not going to love somebody else in a way we don't know how to love ourselves.
Exactly.
And when we see people love in toxic ways, and like, do to others as you'd want done to you. I heard somebody say, like, we need to reframe that, right?
Yeah.
Because some people will do a lot of harmful things to themselves,
Yes.
or they don't think they're worthy, but they're willing to lay down for somebody else.
Yes.
And so, working on how God, seeing myself how God sees me with that unconditional, non judgmental acceptance and love,
Mm.
and working day in and day out, trying to do the same for others, definitely not perfectly, probably never will be. But I can come back to that as the example of how should I live my life. It's from a
Mm.
place of love, compassion, kindness. Everything else is details.
Yeah.
If we do that, heaven is going to be there. And heaven would start here.
So you believe in heaven?
I don't know.
Yeah, tell me more about your thoughts about heaven.
I think here's where I am. And again, I'm saying, I'm in questioning mode. I'm
Mhm.
just now figuring out all the things that are misaligned about religion and God that I've clearly figured out.
Yes.
What that means in how I practice my relationship, because I know fellowship is important.
Yeah.
How I practice that is not clear yet. But what I know is that if we live in a way that God intended for us to live,
Mhm.
if I am loving to praise and to myself,
Yeah.
I will not wish you ill. I will show up when you need help. I will love your kids and take care of the sick and the poor and
Yeah.
the hungry. I will not steal from somebody I love. I will not lie to somebody I love because that will hurt them, and I don't wanna
Yeah.
hurt somebody I love. So, for each and every one of us represented God to me, because 'cause you're God's child. God, you're the spirit lives in you.
Mhm.
And if I walk through life holding each being as a representation of God, heaven can start here. And whether it is up there later or not, it becomes irrelevant because I'm already living in a way that was meant to bring me peace and bring me joy and others. And so if I'm in alignment with each other
Yeah.
and Jesus comes back,
Yes.
it will not be a surprise, it will not be a disappointment, it will just be a continuation of a life that I'm already practicing to live. Is in
So do you
harmony.
believe in the second coming?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. That's the honest truth. But what I'm sure of,
Yeah.
it won't matter if I'm living according to what God wants, how God wants me to live my life.
Because you should be ready
I
then.
will be ready if I'm living the way God wants me to live. And
And that's the thing too, because I feel like as a Seventh-day Adventist, growing up, it was so and I'm sure the times of Paul in the Bible, he also thought Jesus was coming back, like, soon, like
Yesterday.
instantly, like he'll be alive when Jesus comes back. 2,000 years ago, people thought Jesus is coming back. 1,000 years ago, people thought for real Jesus is coming back because honestly, I didn't think that I would get to this big age. I thought by now Jesus would have come back,
Oh,
right? And
Y2K.
so we always lived this life where it's like, oh, you got to be perfect because those are the only people who will go to heaven. I'm not saying that's what the church taught, but that's what I heard,
That's what I heard.
you know? And
We
so it's like you get to this point and you're like, okay, now I'm 43 years old. He's not here yet. So what's happening? And then you start thinking about all these things. So and it's okay to question, but the problem is that sometimes we make it seem like now you're questioning, you're doubting, you're questioning. Now it's a sin and you will never make it to heaven. Whereas for me, I believe there is heaven just because, especially now, just
Mhm.
because I want to see my mom again. And to me, that is my hope for heaven. And because I just don't think this is it. Like my spirit refuses for me to believe this is it. Like this earth, we are done and that's it. My spirit refuses to believe that.
And I'm in support for anyone and everybody's beliefs
Mhm.
of what gives us hope and reason,
That hope.
that hope to do and be the best we can be in the here and now. Because there are people who believe that their loved ones are watching over them currently.
Yeah. Yes.
Gives them hope. Maybe that keeps them accountable to be the best they
Yes.
can be. Because why would mom say if she saw me say these things in this place or go
See,
to
that
this
would be kind of creepy though. I don't know.
right? But for some people, it's like, okay, they're still watching over me, so I'm accountable to them.
Yeah.
And for somebody else, it's I'll get to live a
Too.
life again and see them and maybe catch them up on all the things they didn't get to see and
Yes.
all the wonderful
They
blessings.
get to meet their
The
granddaughter. They get to
grandkids,
meet this.
and
Yeah.
that reunion is beautiful, and it gives me hope and courage to again live the way God wants me to live, so I can see that thing.
Yeah.
Or others who think they come back the next life in a different
Yeah.
form, so they want to do the best they can do, so they come back in a better form. Versus if you don't live a good life, you come back in a worse way. That
Yeah.
that belief system.
Yeah.
So watching all these belief systems is what gives me hope to live a faithful life,
Yes.
a godly, aligned life.
Yes.
And for me, I feel like if I do that, whichever one has the truth or not, if this is it or if it's not, I already had that while I was here.
Yeah.
That the present moment, God is in it. And if it's 40 years I'm given here and surprised I don't wake up on the second coming or there isn't one, or if every day I can end that day because we all don't know the hour.
Knowing.
If I know that, okay, I did the best where I didn't, I ask for forgiveness, I hold myself accountable. And of course, I'm not saying this like it's this perfect way,
Right.
but I am living for this moment in a way that God meant for it to be. And whether or not all these teachings are true or not true, if I'm doing it in here now, that will be a cherry on top.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we get to do this again in a perfect way. But we also did it here. I got to spend quality time with praise in the here now, in
In the now.
authenticity, in love, with fun and joy and kindness and
Yes.
growth. And that's also joyful. That's fulfilling. That's fellowship.
Yeah.
And when we do it again up there, wonderful. Love that for us. If we don't, we also had it here. We didn't
Yeah.
miss it here because we're hoping for one day it will come.
Yeah.
And the both and is for me is more fulfilling.
Peace and love.
Yeah.
Peace and love.
Oh, thanks. Here
I'm
now.
going to dial back and have you tell us whatever you're comfortable with telling us about your history with trauma that really got you into working with sexual trauma? And then tell us more about your foundation, your nonprofit.
Absolutely. It's all of these are they intertwine, and as we know, life doesn't go one way, and you're like, "Oh, and then I took this road, and
Yeah.
here I am." So I mentioned a little bit about the Rwanda experience, going back
Mhm.
to work. Came back to the US, married, because I came back for the funeral, married, have kids, woke up doing this thing. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, okay. Now I need to go back to what I wanted my life to look like, because this ain't it."
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
so
like recenter.
reset.
Sometimes you have to get back to the drawing board, even though the drawing board is now different because now there is so many other things on that board that you have to work within,
Yes.
but you have to go back to that drawing board.
And that's why I always now preach agency. The moment we lose that understanding that we have the power to change paths, to redirect, to create, we're the editors and authors of our books. We have the power to go back and delete or add
Yes.
or change course, change the ending. And every day is a new, it sounds cliche,
Yeah,
but
and it's a series.
it's a
So book
series.
one is done, finish it up. Let's start book two of the series.
That part. Like, oh, that was a cliffhanger.
Yep.
This one ended with mom dying. Now, like, now chapter 2, like, what? Oh, season 2. And so I was like, okay, what can it look like now with my new context? So I knew I still wanted to go back and get my doctorate because
Mhm.
it was clear. But now there's 3 little ones that I've been blessed with, and also it's 3 under 2,
Oof.
3 in 2 years back to back. What happened? And so the slow way to get back into that was I went and started working. I asked for a job at crisis services. Here we go again with crises, at a community mental health as a therapist. And I remember telling the interviewer, "You'll either hire me as your therapist, or you're gonna have to eventually admit me as your client." Because so which one? Which case? How do you want to see me in this space? You're gonna pick one. And I was joking and not joking, because I was 3 kids
Yeah.
under 2. All I'm doing is breastfeeding and changing diapers, and we had help, but still, you're the person. Anyway, so I go back and start working PRN, just to get out and do
Yeah.
something with my brain. And my ex ran an nonprofit at that time, so I was like, "Let me go volunteer." And I
Mhm.
went and volunteered in Uganda, and when I arrived, I was talking to the teachers and asked about, I think you already know these stories, it's for the audience, but asked about how can I help? How can I, from a therapeutic point of view, it's a community that had a lot of trauma with HIV and a lot of deaths and losses. And this teacher just nonchalantly is like, "Oh, actually, there's a kid in P2, it's like second grade, who was assaulted yesterday. Maybe you
Mhm.
can start with her." Just like, no big deal. It was. So that's when I talked to her, and it wasn't even the first time she's endured this, and, ugh, yes, heartbreaking that even the people she told who wanted to help were helpless, or they didn't have the money to do the work, but also the others just felt like that's another day in a girl's life, no big
Mhm.
deal. And even when we tried to take the perpetrator, he had offered a goat as an apology, like, that's how no big deal everybody was taking this. And while I'm there for 2 weeks, 2 more girls came forward after we helped this one, and different stories. Just one is like grandfather and HIV positive, and she's 5. I'd left my babies at home, and like, the heck? Another one, 19, had been the father all throughout her life since she was 4, and every time she tries to go away, community is like, "You can't take the child out of the fathers." When they send him away to jail, like, "Oh, now they're gonna starve. Let the man out so
Mm.
he can provide." So societal norms and all those things,
The
and
things that nobody talks about, that people don't see, that they don't talk about, that they ignore because it's not palatable, you know?
it's a lot, yeah,
And those silenced voices,
yes,
those
exactly,
girls. and some boys,
Boys, yes, eventually.
boys, girls, those children.
And it surprised me the more we worked and built trust in this community, it was more women who were silencing the girls.
Mm,
And again, back to that intergenerational trauma, or it is for me, is if I acknowledge this is harmful to you, I have to acknowledge that it was harmful to me because
yes.
almost every woman in that community, I mean, it's 1 in 3. So right now it's just the two of us, and I'm already a statistic.
Yeah.
So we know more women have endured this, but for them to show up for their daughters in that way, they had to have acknowledged also the way in which that harmed them, and that's a lot. So
At
we
that
have
time when you were seeing all that, had you dealt with your own
no,
trauma yet?
no. I At this point, I had my master's, I had been a therapist for a few years, and I would assume it was never on my consciousness, right? I knew that happened, it is what it is, we move on.
Yeah.
And it was seeing this girl in front of me, saying the things, and then I'm hearing myself say the right things and the support things, and it was that moment again. We never know, like you said, you just don't know when it's gonna pop up.
Uh-huh.
That was the first moment. Feel like I'm looking in the mirror. She's also about 11, which is around the same time that happened to me, and I knew I had to do something for these girls. And I could see the isolation and the loneliness and the shame and the
Mm.
all the things, and I felt moved to tell her that I too know what she's going through. And that was the first time it came out of my mouth to another well,
Since you were 11, that was the first time you verbalized it.
I had hinted at it to my to my husband at the time,
Uh-huh.
like, before we got married, but never in that way as
Never.
acknowledging that I am this or
Yeah.
through this. Um, and it just felt like she needed that to know
Yeah.
she's not her pain, that there is a hope in the future and all other things. And once I brought up that as a service to these kids, the organization I was volunteering with, oh, we don't have the money, we don't have the capacity. What if everybody reports? All the excuses everybody gives because it's hard.
Uh,
And that's how I was like, well, somebody has to do something. It's not a coincidence. Like 3 girls in the span of 2 weeks. And if not me, who? If not that one? And I clearly hard, call it the Holy Spirit, call it the inner voice, whatever people call it. But it was, why do you get the luxury to wait when they're hurting
mm.
now? Because I was already coming up with my own excuses. I have 3 kids. I'm trying to go back to school, and I got this, and
Yeah, like, "This is too much work. I'm not gonna
I
be able to do it on my own."
and I know nothing about running a nonprofit. What do you mean I'm gonna start something? And what with what time? With what energy? With what? And that was very clear. Why do you get the luxury to wait? And it was clear that nobody's asking me to create some big world changing organization. This doesn't have to be a world
Well,
vision.
it is, but okay.
Children. Like the calling in that moment was these 3 little girls who needed a voice and support to heal. And that's all it was. But we make stories and make it a whole thing. So I was like, oh, fine. But came back to the US because again, I'm really good at crises. I can put everything away and show up for people. And once I settled down, everything just from nowhere started having nightmares. I started having full on PTSD symptoms. I mean, I've never experienced any of that in my whole life. So that was my first time going to therapy because I was like, what are they going to do? Like, the power of that space. So that was my first time worked on myself. Can't take people where you haven't been. The vulnerability of getting help as
Mm.
somebody who is usually
The one who's
who's
helping.
helping. Because there's a little, whether we admit it or not, there's a little ego boost to being the helper.
Yes.
There is a nice feeling of ego. That's all it is.
It's ego.
The
It's
ego.
ego.
It's like, "Oh, look at me saving somebody." And there's
And
that joy,
emergency surgeons are so egotistical.
and they are, and they should be.
Because I hear people saying, "Oh, surgeons have such a God complex. They're so egotistical." I'm like, yeah, if you don't have something centering you, it can really go to your head.
It really can. I'm currently reading that book, Ego is the Enemy. Highly
Yeah.
recommend it. I don't know if you've read it.
No, I have not. I'll have to find it then.
Game changer, and it's simple read and all of that. It's actually right here. Um, I'll show the audience.
Yes, thank you. Because I always say, who's the author?
Ego is
Ryan
the Enemy,
Holiday.
Ryan Holiday,
Okay.
and at a young age went to the top of his. He has 1 million books, it's making millions, and da, da, da. So he also uses his own story and all the story of the Grets, especially. Um, anyway, so
I will
there's that.
definitely get it.
So yeah, that humbled me and changed the way I do therapy when it comes to trauma. Because now I had another way in from a place of vulnerability,
Yeah.
not a place of like
Superiority. Like, I
superiority.
know how to help you.
Oh, I have the answers. Just follow my lead. I
Yeah.
know, right? Versus we're gonna figure it out together, and this is scary, and the humility and all of the things. So that was. I mean, I don't care if you've ever experienced trauma or not. Everybody needs to go to therapy twice.
At least twice.
At least twice, because the first time is usually we're all like, I
Yeah,
don't know
you
about
don't
these
talk
things.
much.
Yeah.
I'm
Or
still trying to figure you out. You
right,
therapy.
what you writing over there?
What traumas do you have?
Oh, this is some white people stuff. What are you asking about my parents? They were perfect. That did nothing impacted me. Um,
Yep.
yeah, so at least twice. So you can go through the first one is figuring it out. The second one is to actually do the work.
Okay. You
And
guys
so
are
that
listening. You hear that. You have to go to therapy at least twice.
and you have to give that therapist at least 3 sessions because you we know 80% is the relationship, 20% technique. So it doesn't matter how wonderfully trained they are. If you're not vibing, walk away.
Okay.
Like if you feel like this ain't it, trust that voice. It's
And
unlike doctors, right? Whether we like you or not, if you're the best surgeon in the world, I can feel whatever I feel about you. You're going to do your job, and I'm gonna
right.
come out. You're gonna give me Tylenol, whether you are rude to me or nice to me. Tylenol is gonna do what Tylenol does. So therapy is not that, and most of us don't know how to like. Oh, how do I question this
Right.
so-called professional, or how can I walk away, or we want to please, or all the things. So
Yes.
this is the only time you get to be like you're interviewing. You're like,
Mm.
"Mm, do I like you or not? And do you get me? Do you
Yeah.
understand my context? That I don't spend half
Are
of
we
my hour."
vibing?
So, vibe check is number one. So I always tell my when I'm doing consults, like we're both doing a vibe check.
Yeah.
So you don't have to see me after this. You can ghost me, or you can reach out and say, "No, this wasn't it, but this is what I'm looking for," and I would be happy to help you find that person. Otherwise, you're wasting your time and money. I'm wasting my time and energy, and it's not gonna go anywhere if either one of us feels like we're
There
not a
needs to be
good fit.
something there.
It's like dating in a little bit. A little bit. It's like, do I want to get a second date or not? So they could be good looking and they don't have a good conversation. You're like, no, I'm good.
We're good.
Yes. So there's a little rule book as you're shopping for therapists. Don't just settle. You
Yes.
gotta find the right match for your own context. So that worked for me, and that made me start the work. And I
Wow.
said, do what I can when I can, how I can, with the people God puts in my way. And more of the learning and the humility came with again while I was saying how God keeps showing up for me in ways that I think that was another thing that coming back to the God conversation. God doesn't work in obscurity.
Mm.
But every big moment, every God moment in my life happens in a way that I know for sure I did not do anything
Mm.
to make this happen.
Yes.
I
a
can't
hundred
say, "Oh,
percent.
I was the smartest in the room, and that's why I got this. Oh,
I
I
take
was the
credit for it.
every God moment in my life is
Mhm.
when I had given up, when
Mhm.
I had surrendered,
Mm.
when I had acknowledged that
Mm.
I got nothing left. And God is like, "Okay, are you done? All right,
Wow.
watch me."
So, what is the one word for this season in your life?
Oh, okay. So for everyone who came to my 40th birthday is gonna think I'm gonna say soft life era. That was the theme.
I don't know that you're capable of that, darling.
Well, I'm working on it. I accept the challenge. I am. But I actually think when all of those pieces come together in this season, I want it to be unapologetically authentic.
Ooh, this is the second time this week I've heard that.
Really?
Yes, because the lady whose podcast episode just came out yesterday, no,
Okay.
2 days ago, Wednesday, she was big on being unapologetically authentic. And oh boy, is she authentic.
Ah.
She said radical self-love
Mm,
and unapologetically authentic. That kind of authenticity. And I feel like, honestly, when you get to 40, something shifts, something changes, and you become sort of unafraid because you do not care what anybody says or what anybody thinks about you or any of those things that normally you'd have been like, oh,
what are
what are
they
they
gonna
going to
say?
say? No, those things just kind of, it's like you turn 40 and poof, gone.
I've been looking forward to that. I'm like, is that gonna happen for me? Will it really happen for me? And whether it happened or didn't happen, I'm making it happen. I'm like, I don't know at this point if it's a placebo effect or it actually is happening. But I'm like, I am centering myself in all things to be who I am, where I am at all times.
Yeah.
Um, Girl, I don't even wear high heels. I'm like, well, I went to a wedding in little tiny flats. I'm like, usually I'd be dying out there, but
Well,
you're gonna look the part. Look,
oh, I still love my high heels, girl.
and that's my sister Beth. It doesn't matter where you are. She wants, and if
I
it's
love my
doing
sister.
that for you, I'm here for it. But I give myself permission to ask what I want in that moment versus
Yeah.
how I'm gonna be viewed,
And just be you.
and just be me, just be. Right? The cliche of we're human beings, not human doings. Like just
Yeah.
be. Like that's the hardest and easiest thing to do is just be. And what it calls this moment will be different tomorrow. And I have
Yeah.
permission to to change my mind. I can talk to you tomorrow and be like, what? Okay, no, now I'm like conservative Adventist who did this and like, and that's okay. I'm
That's okay.
curious. I'm
We
curious.
evolve,
I'm
we change, and it's okay. We shouldn't always feel like we have to stick to that same thing and not evolve, not change.
right. Well, we wouldn't be human, right? No woman walks through the river twice.
Yeah.
The river is moving, and so the human is changing. The next day
Yeah.
it won't be somebody different, and when we hold on to some story we've told ourselves of who we are, then we get stuck
That
playing
part.
a role versus letting ourselves be with
Mm,
who we're
I like
created to
that.
be in our fullness. So, yeah, I'm
Wow.
just here for it. I'm like, whatever comes, I'm open, I'm curious, I am joyful,
The
I'm
curiosity.
resting, I am resting.
Resting, curious and resting.
Yes, unapologetically and no reason.
Unapologetic.
Yes,
Mm,
guilt shows up, but I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, whatever." That's an old voice.
yeah.
That's okay.
Who are two men, dead or alive, that you would want to have dinner with and just glean from?
Mm, my mom, of course.
Yeah.
And now I wouldn't have answered this way before,
Mm,
but just this moment, I would say her mom.
really?
Yeah,
Just so you can learn all about,
that lineage.
yeah,
I've always been drawn to older women because I didn't have that in my life growing up.
yeah,
Many have become like mothers and friends and mentors for that reason.
yeah.
But it would be beautiful to just hear how one person created a different path for the next, and what they think they were teaching them versus what we learn are also always different,
Yeah.
and how that translated these 4 generations later. That would be beautiful. So, reason for believing in heaven.
And what is your favorite place you have visited or lived in all the world? Favorite place you've been to that you would return time and time again?
Yeah. Have to choose one.
You have to choose one. If there was just one place that you could go to, and every year you were given an all paid trip for the weekend in that place, where would it be?
Dang it.
One place.
Okay, fine. If I have to choose one, I have 3. Okay, I'll choose one.
Okay, fine. What are the three
Oh,
places?
I'll follow directions. I'm not good at that.
Well, actually, now I'm curious. I need to know because that's how I figure out where I'm going next.
I'll answer the question and then come to those 2. Why it's so hard
Okay.
to Rwanda is always has my heart because I am home. I'm whole when I'm there. Your
Yeah.
people, your language, your food, living in this country. Anytime you go home, I feel like my nervous system getting back in place. Like, oh, we can rest now. So
Yeah.
the one that every year I do it anyway, but yes, Rwanda would be the place. The other 2, Italy. Ugh, oh my God, it's beautiful. The food.
Where in Italy?
Oh, I have to choose one.
You do. I mean, you can't just be like
I
the
know.
United States of America. No.
Right.
Where?
Okay. You're right. I love my favorites was okay. Amalfi Coast
Okay.
was to die for. I love Rome. If I have to choose one, I'd be Rome.
Why? Other than the Colosseum, I went there to check off a box because, I like lists. And my thing is all the seven wonders, the new seven wonders, the natural wonders, all this. I like to go and check off my little list. And
Yeah.
so the Colosseum, that was the only reason I went to Rome, was just so I could check that off my list. But I never fell in
You didn't feel
love.
the vibe?
Mm.
Interesting. Well, the food is number 1. I
Okay,
love
I think because I'm not
Italian
a
food.
foodie. I eat the same thing almost every day. Yeah.
Okay. So we need a trip together and we're going to change this. We're going to be versus do.
I'm too scared.
I'm not that adventurous, but I will
Yeah.
try. And almost all my trips include a food tour.
Really?
Yes. Every trip has to have a food tour included.
Interesting.
Yes. So, because that's where you get to the places normally tourists would not go, and
Yeah.
you get to eat all the good stuff. So, Rome is calling me because of the food. Italy is the food and the people and the
Okay.
shopping. Yes, their fashion style. Oh, yeah. Every time we literally buy 2 extra suitcases to come back with because you're like, we overdid it. Yeah. And then the other one that surprised me because of how everybody was talking about it. And when I came back, it was number 2 to Rwanda.
Mhm.
That if I ever move back home, I'm moving to South Africa.
Where in South Africa, though?
See, I haven't even visited Cape Town yet,
Ah,
but I have a feeling that will be the top when I go later this year because I'm going back.
yeah.
Last year, I went to Johannesburg, Durban, and Pretoria
Okay.
and loved the people. Everybody's so nice and good vibes, just good energy.
Now, were you vacationing or you were going with your nonprofit?
I was consulting, I was working, but then also anywhere I go for work, I build
Yeah.
in 2
Like
days
a little,
front and
yeah.
back. Yes.
Yeah.
And my last day there is usually a spa day. It's a self-care day, and
Yes.
it's like
Oh no, I'm serious about the spa. Like, if there's anybody that's serious about the spa, when I was booking my trip in 10 days, that was the first thing I booked, was a spa. And I'm like, okay, yes, I am going all the way across the world just to go to the spa.
that's insane because that's far. Like, I would need at least 10 days there.
But I do a lot of spa dates here, and I don't mind going by myself either.
Same, but that's
Yeah,
the
that's
best.
yeah, yeah, it's the best.
Yeah. That story is part of every ending.
Okay,
I
I
love
know
the
slow
food.
living, soft life.
Soft life, yeah. In the here and now, we gonna do it. Yeah, so South Africa
Wow.
became
So
my
South
number 2.
Africa. Wow.
It surprised me because everyone was like, "It's the crime rates and it's this and that."
Johannesburg.
And I even went to the nightlife in Johannesburg,
Wow.
and it was so fun. Everybody's minding
What are
their
you doing in
business.
the nightlife at 40, my dear?
Why not? What do you do? When does it stop? What? You do it differently than you did at 20.
So
You're
what do
going,
40-year-olds do nightlife?
what do you mean?
Like, what do you do? Like, I literally am a homebody. I
Ah,
am at the hospital or in my house.
see, at home, I'm that person. Like, to get me out of my house here takes a lot. But anytime I'm traveling, I wanna
Yeah.
know, what do people do for fun, and how is that? What do they eat? And we're gonna try it all.
Yeah.
And what do they do for, leisure?
It's interesting because my daughter was just talking to me about this today because she feels like if only she could have lived through me in the 90s, 2000s, because she's like, man, people don't know how to club anymore. She's like, even the things people wear to the club, like people don't know how to club anymore. They don't know how to dress. She loves that 90s, early 2000s
That's
vibe.
funny.
And so I'm like, yeah, you would have had a great
It's
time.
time. See, dancing is therapeutic to me, but it has to be in the right space. Like,
Yeah,
with same aged people, like, no, we're not going to nobody's little
20-year-old.
21-year-old or like live music or a nice jazz night with dinner
Yeah,
or, um like back home, a lot of restaurants also, slash dance space, but
yeah,
it's usually more adults, right? So
yes,
there's always spaces that are separate for adults who wanna also go out and have a good time, but respectfully
yeah.
and different from, yeah, so where I went for Johannesburg, it was a friend's friend who was a
Mhm.
musician, and they were about to drop their new CD, and they did a preview party for their CD. So
Oh,
it was like a cute little, yeah, so I was like, "Okay, I see y'all South Africans getting down."
I like
And
that because one of my good friends, she's Nigerian, and she knows how to party. And I'm always like, "Girl, how you have all that energy to be going and partying at night at this big age of ours?" But, even when she goes home, like, she's constantly juggling all these parties. I'm like, "How do you even do that, you guys?"
I'm going home in a couple weeks, and I usually have workshops set up,
Yeah,
and I go in work mode, I'm at a hotel and do my work, and then at the end, then the cousins or everybody else, that's when they know I'm in town. I don't tell anyone. And it's like, "Okay," and then we go out to each other's homes, or I mean, their homes, or somebody throws a party, and you
yeah.
come home at after breakfast to the next morning. And it's like, "Oh, this fills my heart. Now I can come back to the United States of racism and sit in my house," and so it's whatever it is that fills you up, fills your
Yeah.
bucket as
Yes.
the kids would have. So everybody has something different. So for me, it's being in community and eating and dancing and
Yeah.
laughing, the things I don't get as much here.
Just
'Cause
carefree and
yes,
just enjoy.
and just be I think that sense of safety is so important that I never realized how I don't have it in the US.
Yeah.
So when I'm home and if somebody's rude, you're not wondering, "Okay, is that 'cause I'm black, or am I not allowed here?" Right?
Yeah.
You're just
Yeah.
being
Because there you it's yeah.
home. That sense
Do
of
you feel like you have mastered living in the now?
I think when you think you've mastered it, you have more work to do.
Mm.
'Cause it's a continuous thing.
Yeah.
It's a practice,
Yeah.
and it's every second, every minute of coming back to.
Yeah.
Because we're not naturally set up to be in the now, right? The
Mm-mm.
brain is looking for ways to keep us safe. It's watching, it's noticing, it's remembering, it's this
Yes.
safety, efficiency, all the things that it's harder work to keep going. No, 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 over here. No, no, no. Here now. Breath. I'm sitting. I'm looking at you. pillow, pink blanket, blue.
Yes.
We could talk all day and you ask me what color you were wearing, and I wouldn't remember if
Right,
it
because
wasn't consciously bringing myself back to, oh, pink elephant, I mean, zebra in the back. And
yeah.
just being with the senses takes work. So if I think I've mastered it, that means it's ego versus the practice of being in now.
Wow. Well, this was amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you for
I
coming
forgot
back.
we were recording. I really like I don't know what I said. 'Cause, like there's a way you ask the questions and I'm just having a conversation. Then I remember I'm like, oh shoot, this is on
Well, I'm gonna have your sister on. I haven't asked her yet, but I'm gonna have your sister on, and then season 2 we're gonna bring you both on. So it's gonna be amazing.
Oh, I'll convince all three. We should all four be on here. See if you
Yes.
can manage all four.
Yes. No, we should definitely. You have to convince all 4 to be on because I think it will be just a family edition.
Family edition, yes. That's
Season
all.
2 will be family edition. So just bring all 4 and it will just be interesting to just see, how you can all be raised in one family and have totally different outcomes.
And if and when it feels right, it would be I have a lot of ideas, but never the never the kind of
Remember, anytime you give me an idea, you end up being tied to it. So
never the kind of discipline you have to do the things that come up in my brain, but I would be interested to watch or listen to those generational impacts. Like, see, you and your daughter,
yes.
maybe your dad, you and your son or your daughter, or all of
Yes.
them, and just
Yes. So my dad, I know I can bring him on. It's
yeah,
easy. My
the kid.
son, I'm pretty sure I can't bring him on. He's a 22-year-old guy. My daughter, she's already told me no right now, but we'll see. Because, that first time I had the podcast during the pandemic, she was bored. She came on and it was great.
Mm,
So, yeah, we'll see.
but you wouldn't be the one interviewing them. This one
Oh,
I'll volunteer to ask you all the questions.
oh, yeah, yeah. Now that would be very interesting, actually.
Alright.
Yeah,
So
that would be archived.